sharing, iPhone. Okay. So what I want to share with you is this. The picture, the screenshot I did of the Zoom app on my phone. And the Zoom app was saying, hey, Mark, your audio through Zoom, it's not the audio on the side of my phone, but through Zoom, I've told it to mute it. So if Donna was on a conference call with Buncombe County government and she wanted to be heard, she would have to unmute to be heard. If you wanted to go to a live video, you would have to unmute your video. When you do that, it's taking more bandwidth, more cellular data, and if it gets marginal, that's when I go back and mute my video on any conference call. Going back to the question about chatting, I think in Zoom, if you go to ... there's a chat button. You can read chat messages, or you can chat within the app itself, is what I was trying to share with you. And what I'm doing now is I'm sharing. I did this earlier. It is so sad. There's, I think, estimated 30 to 40% of Buncombe County kids who are at home without internet are missing out on school tremendously. It's so sad. And that's part of my advocacy in working with the Western North Carolina Broadband. So that was great, Donna. Bravo. I'm gonna give you 5 stars on that. Okay, and Leslie, was there anything that came to mind that you like on your phone, app-wise, or something you want to share with the class? It is overwhelming.
All of the options, and I am so in awe of your expertise, and it's just, I'm amazed that there's so much.
And these are supercomputers. You are handling a supercomputer, and as to how you engage with it, the fact that you've bought an iPhone tells me you're willing to learn, and the opportunities are endless with it. The sad part is that supercomputer is going to be good for 3-4 years. Or you break the glass, or your contract breaks, or yeah. So it is a trade-off, and affordability is another issue with the digital divide. Not everybody can afford an iPhone or an Android or Wi-Fi that's $50 to $100+ per month. It does add up. So I know, Leslie, you asked about privacy, so I keep trying to mention privacy. It's not so obvious, but there are elements, even when you use Apple Safari. Safari is a free app, but it's tracking what you see and do through something called cookies. And you can go to a DuckDuckGo or other web browser and tell it not to track. I'm an honest citizen, is the way I see it. I have nothing to hide. So I'm willing, in exchange for the freeness and the functionality of some of these apps, to use them. So, Patrick, you had a question?
Yeah, we had some 7 or 8 questions or things that we were going to cover on the screen. We only have 2 more hours. Are we going to get to those?
Yes, we're going to try and do that. That's where I have taught this class for 21 hours, and it's overwhelming, but the supercomputer has a ton of opportunities. So we are going to do that. And again, everything I reference, I'm going to try and put onto this website so that you'll have that available. Okay. And part of the reason I brought this up is on Monday, we started this spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet, it's on the home screen. The spreadsheet is talking about a lot of bucket things. So yes, I've actually added to it. So we're going to come back to that in just a moment. Rose, do you have any things that you really, really like about your phone or apps that are worthy of sharing to the class?
I don't know how to use that, so say.
Okay.
But I want to get the free apps on it and use it. What keeps coming from my phone, always pay ones, because I come and pay people. But I think that I just want to do more than that because I like to read books and so forth.
Yep, and I'm going to share with you. Oops. So two things. I heard Starbucks and apps, free apps. So I'm going to share with you. Here's the King James version of the Bible, and this is a free app. But what happens is I get advertisements on there. And that's the worst thing for me to see. I'm sitting, trying to engage with a minister, and I get dragged to AIM, download now, pocket sniper. So yes, there are free versions out there. If it's free, it's likely for a, how do they phrase it? In-app purchase. In this case, it's not an in-app purchase, but it's they're selling that when I click on this, the King James version of this app will get paid from this company for this. So what drives me crazy, it gets harder and harder to find the X to close it. Okay. It's a wonderful app. It's free, but I have to tolerate these little nuances. Okay, so that was that. The other app that was mentioned, I've already forgotten. Starbucks. Yeah, you know what's really crazy? I actually had the Starbucks app, so let me search for Starbucks. And I say crazy just because I actually liked, so I don't have it anymore on my phone, and the search isn't finding it. So if I go to my app store here in this blue, it's actually kind of cool because it works really well for McDonald's, for Subway, some of these big companies, even Harris Teeter. I love their subs. And I can place my order before I get there. I'll walk in, my sub is ready. I love that. If I'm hungry, I'm hungry. So as an example, Starbucks. Starbucks is a free app. And you can see the indicator when it says get. I've never had it before. And that one says in-app purchases, so that's not the right one. Here is an advertisement. So Starbucks is actually listed twice, okay? And it's listed twice because Apple wants to be paid extra money for the advertisement of sticking this, what they think is the right ad for my search up there. So I intentionally don't click on a paid ad because I don't want to pay Apple anymore. I'll go down here and I'm going to go ahead and download Starbucks. And then Starbucks it's a free app, but they have a rewards program. So if I use their app, I place an order. I forget what the reward is. It's a free cup of coffee. It's like, yeah, I like it. But this app consumes some space on my phone. And because it's taking up space, I eventually had to delete it when Starbucks started closing and said drive-through only and everything. So Starbucks is a great app. Thank you. And if you frequent that, definitely. Yep. So again, this time I'm going to go to the Harris Teeter app. The Harris Teeter app, I love their subs. They're good deals on Sundays. They're half price during football season. So I go there. I say I want to order ahead. I want to order ahead my deli pizza subs and my sub shop. I like the wraps. Sometimes it'll even remember what I have. It'll tell me the price, $6.99 each, which is comparable to Subway. But occasionally they run it on sale for $3.99. Gosh, that's a great deal. But I'm hungry. I want my sub right away. So I've learned when I get to a certain radius, I'll go ahead and place my order. When I place my order, it says it'll be ready at 2:15, whatever. I'll walk in, grab it, and I go. It's like, I love it. So very good. Thank you for sharing that. Lillian, do you have any apps or iPhone?
No, I don't use apps.
Don't use apps? Well,
But I got some on the phone that I don't use, and if they come with the phone, if the apps come with the phone, can you get rid of them?
yes, yes. So as an example, for me, I use the Gmail app. There are some apps that I cannot delete, like Apple Safari, because that's the web browser. So when I press and hold on the icon, oh, maybe I can. Removing from the screen. So it'll tell you if you can't. So that's not a good example. Let me try and delete. Oh, I can delete that. It used to be that would block it. So when I press and hold, oh, even the App Store I can remove now. There used to be some that you couldn't do. And yeah, right. It's like, why even have it there taking up space? Going back to Rose's concern earlier, if I go to the gearbox settings and I go under, I think it's general, iPhone storage, the app that's taking up the most storage on my phone right now is YouTube. I can go through here again and say, well, I only have 32 gigs of storage. I have roughly 3.2 gigs right now, but if I needed to go on a storage budget, I might choose to delete Snapchat. It's a relatively big app, roughly 20% of a gig. And when I go through here, there are some that are Apple native. So let's see, contacts. Yeah, I can delete that. Huh. So it just depends on your usage.
Yeah.
Safari, we could delete.
It's a little lock. How often, you just passed that.
I'm sorry, the what? The health app?
That book, the blue one right there.
Authenticator?
The authenticator.
Oh, Authenticator. Okay. So authenticators, this is Microsoft's Authenticator. So Google has Authenticator. LastPass has an Authenticator app. Remember when I started the spreadsheet exercise, one of the reasons I did that, so important, and understanding privacy and security is to be unique and safe and secure, your email address becomes one logical key, and it's unique. We all can have a unique key or an email address. We all have a unique phone number. The combination of that makes it a little bit harder to be breached. I talked about machine learning and artificial intelligence. They learn my geographic location. If I authorize an app may send me a message, and that message is a type of second factor authentication. Okay. So my brother-in-law, who works for a Dell company, says they have to use an authenticator app. That's actually specific to Dell. And as a result, it's not one, it's not two, it's not three, it's not four, it's 5 places to make them more private and more secure. And that authenticator app is pretty top notch. But man, it makes it complicated for me. I'm going to another phone number, opening another phone number with Google, and I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with this, not so much that. And it's making it very, very hard for me to get another phone number through Google, which is fine. This is what it's supposed to be. The harder it is for me, it's the harder for a malicious individual to come in here and hack me because of that. So second factor authentication is important. If so, as an example, when you do online banking, their financials will not be downloadable unless you download on a PDF, the statement, that kind of stuff. You have to sign into their server. When you sign into their cloud server, they'll authenticate you with a text message. If they have enabled it, they may ask for an Amazon authenticator, a Google authenticator, a Microsoft authenticator. So it just makes it harder, but you're more secure in that. Great question.
And Mark, while you're on the screen there, it says documents and data.
Uh-huh.
How do you, like I've got another one, voice memos, I have a lot of stuff and documents and data. How do I delete it?
Yep, perfect. So let's stop for a break. I need to run to the bathroom. It's 2 o'clock. That's why I'm getting a little squirrely up here. Let's stop for a stretch break, and 2:05, 2:10, we'll come back. We'll talk about how to relieve the excessive storage that's being used for your voicemail. And there's others being specifically, if you do a lot of texting, it's remembering photographs and videos there as well. So.
Decide whether to go into
Uh-huh.
all of that, but now I know, okay.
So Patrick asked for a couple more questions here. Let's see if I can revisit. The first one was relative. He noticed in his iPhone storage that his messages were taking a fair amount of space. So you have to kind of step back and think about, well, let's see if I have messages on mine. It would probably be under.
Keep on going. There it is.
So voice, that's not it. No, I'm gonna scroll down a little bit more. Voice is a Google Voice app I have. Here it is, iPhone. So the iPhone has documents and data. It's not much for me, 38.8 megabytes. And voicemails are a portion of it. So if you step back and think this out a little bit, if you have a smartphone and you're out and about, especially in Western North Carolina, and you don't have data connectivity, you don't have Wi-Fi connectivity, but you want to listen to that voicemail, what the cloud is doing is making a copy of your voicemail on your phone, and it is taking up storage. Okay? So it's for the convenience of knowing that you will always have accessibility to the phone. And when you get reconnected to cellular, to Rose, to your comments again, your cellular data is being used, but it's resynchronizing, making sure that the things that you need are available on demand if the cellular data drops. And in this case, when I go back to my home screen and I open the iPhone app, and in here I go to voicemail, I actually have 2 messages there that are being stored on the iCloud and on my phone. So if I take this and skirt it over to the left I have the ability to delete this voicemail from Karen Sanders on January 3rd, delete. From Jamie, delete. I click home, I go back to settings, and let's refresh this by going up to the top here. And it might take it a second. I'm not sure if it's going to do it immediately. That data should be much lower. So here we go, phone. Because I don't think it's recalculated it yet.
The text message being included.
So messages are separate. And if you share a lot of photographs or video using messages, which I do, you can see my top conversations under documents are using 8.8 megabytes. The photography is using 8.7 megabytes. GIFs and stickers are using a lot of storage. So I think it makes it a little easier here. It even tells me, sure, my daughter, I send a lot of pictures and a lot of articles to her. And it's saying that these pictures, videos, links that I've shared with her are consuming 4.1 megabytes. So I can go here, let's see. Actually, what I think I have to do, there is a way of offloading it. So edit, okay, there we go. So I am in, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna leave this totally. Okay, so my gearbox settings, and I go to general storage. Let's see, it's on top, towards the top here. Oh, I'm under accessibility, no wonder, okay. General, and then iPhone storage. It's recalculating. I scroll down to find where the data is being there. I could have gone directly to the app in the case of text messages. So under messages, it says I have 21.7 megabytes. I can go in here, top conversations, and I can see my daughter's taking a lot. So if I click edit in the message app, I can actually take all of these recent ones and delete them. I don't have any history in my message app now, but what I have done is it's recalculating it now. I have less storage that's being used on my phone. So this is kind of important. Patrick made a comment. He said, Lillian has plenty of storage. You have 32 or how much? 34. That sounds like a lot. As a rule of thumb, on a desktop or mobile phone, you need about 1/4 of the storage available for comfortable optimization. When I say comfortable optimization, it just means when the phone or your laptop starts running out of memory, it can't optimize as well. And it'll start doing goofy things. And that's when you say, time to get rid of it and get a new one, you know? Well, I want my phone to last 3 or 4 years if possible. So I frequently do go in here and delete apps. I delete documents. I delete this so that I have about 25% available in the phone operating environment or Windows operating environment or Mac operating environment comfortably has enough storage to do the optimization in the background to be healthy.
But she's only using 12.9 out of 64. Deleting a couple apps is not gonna.
No, right.
You're not. You
Yep.
get little for a lot of.
Yep.
Okay, but, well, okay, when I got the phone, the little iTunes store app was on my phone. I have never used it. it says last used January 5th.
Mhm.
But I have 696 gigabytes on that thing. Where'd they come from? I never used it.
There's likely to be some samples of audio or samples of applications in there. And again, Apple wants to optimize your consideration of using that by ensuring there's data available for an example or something. So,
Well, this is unusual because the app size is 650 kilobytes and document is only 41. So, you know, that's pretty.
so a question I cannot comfortably answer is one that's on our list that Donna asked about downloading storage. And if you've owned an iPod or a previous iPhone and you've had some audio files, it would likely be in iTunes. And I'm guessing it may be a carryover. Donna, on the topic of your old audio, especially in the last 2 or 3 years, Creative Commons licensing has gotten so strict that it used to be my teenage kids could easily copy their friend's audio of a song, and the author, the originator of the music, wouldn't receive compensation. And there were so many lawsuits, you know, to Apple, to whomever was infringing on that. They made it very, very hard to make a copy of a music like what you're talking about.
Okay, because I was wondering about that, and I'm thinking,
It's not impossible, but it's definitely very, very hard.
if you buy your own and not making copies either.
Yeah.
You know, back when I was younger, CDs were the thing.
Yep.
Now I guess computers are the thing. But anyway, that had that. And then when I got the battery changed by the Apple people on music, when the computer came back, no music.
So,
They didn't tell me they were gonna do that.
right. So on older devices did not have iCloud connectivity. Okay. So the device storage was it. And I'm guessing when the battery went down, the operating system went down, they had to reinstall the operating system, and that's when it lost that data. So here, flash forward a few years, most devices are connected to the cloud. Most of the time it is backed up, because the reality is we will drop or lose our phone.
Right.
And it's in that kind of scenario where having a cloud copy, or maybe not a true copy, but an indicator that you had such and such file to re-download it, you've already paid for it, it won't make you repay for it again.
That would be ideal if it happened that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not an easy topic, and it's the result of too many individuals abusing Creative Commons licensing.
I remember hearing so much about that during that time.
It's funny you say that, because I recorded 3 or 4 years ago a video, and in the background there was some audio. And when I uploaded it to YouTube, YouTube sent me a notification that I was in copyright violation in the country of Germany.
Wow.
So they wouldn't upload the video because the audio music of this German composer was there.
Oh,
And
a German composer.
yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, unbelievable.
That's crazy.
So I'm so happy that we've come up with this, and I want to do this example. The example being, first of all, let's go to Gearbox settings. And in Gearbox settings, there's something called Find My Phone or Find My Device. We want to make sure it's turned on. And Patrick, I hate to say that this feature is dependent, and Leslie is dependent on your Apple ID, and you'll see why. So I can't find it. I go all the way to the top under search. I'm going to type in find. And it used to be this wasn't turned on by default. It is now. So I did a search under gearbox settings on top. I had to pull it down, find my phone. When I open that up, find my phone on my phone is turned on. Okay. But the logical key is my Apple ID. Okay.
Before you got, where did you start to get into this screen?
Yep.
What is that, through settings?
Yep. So we're going to go to settings,
Okay.
and in settings, it'll come up wherever you are. And if you pull down at the top, there's a search bar. There's just so much on here. I quite honestly can't even remember where Find My iPhone is, but I do want to have it turned on. And I'm going to share with you this supercomputer that's worth several $100s, even in a black market. Somebody can turn it in and have it wiped and sold to another third world country or something. And it happens. This has happened more times than I can tell you. I want to be knowledgeable about how to find my iPhone or iPad, but it does require knowledge and the active use of your Apple ID and the password associated with it. Okay. So I have validated in settings. I did a search for Find My Device, because for Apple, it could be iPhone, iPad, iPod, it could be earbuds, it could be the Apple Watch. You know, Find My Device has gotten to be just ridiculous. I have a privacy setting, share. So let's just say this device that I've had for years, you know, I misplace it. I leave it on top of the car. I do something really dumb, okay? This is where, or I travel, okay? I'm actually going to leave and say, well, I can't find my iPhone. It's missing, so I'm going to stop sharing it. And what I'm going to do is sign into another available computer. And using the search bar, I'm going to say find, I'm going to do a search for find space my space Apple space phone or something like that. I'm searching. And the search should return www.apple.com, iCloud, find my, okay? And here it talks about how you can find your device and keep up with your family and friends with that. So I'm going to go in here, and actually that's not it. I want to locate my device on the iCloud.com. That's still not it. So I'm going to click here. It takes me a minute to find this, but it's helpful because at some point your phone is going to drop in the sofa. Okay, it's like you think it's missing totally. So again, this is an Apple device, but I'm using my Gmail as a logical key. My Google email. For Patrick, it's at Hotmail. For Rose, it's at Charter. For Virginia, it's whatever your Apple ID email is. I go to next, and I use something called a password manager, and the password manager is going to allow me to sign in. It is physically locating my Apple devices right now. This is like way cool. So I've actually had a friend to have his iPhone stolen, and we did this, and we actually tracked it, got a police officer. Police officers had available time. Sometimes they don't do this. And we were able to have the police officer go to it was at a hotel. Police officer knocked on the phone and said, we have reason to believe there's a stolen device in here, you know, and proceeded. And it was through the iCloud Find My Device to do this. So I have actually 2 active devices right now, my iPhone 7, this laptop, which is a MacBook Pro, and I have an iPod, which I hadn't used in a long time, okay? Actually, I erased it. So what's really, really cool, it is thanks to the privacy of me allowing to share my location services, that this device is talking to the Wi-Fi, it's talking to your devices, it's talking to Bluetooth, and it's that triangulation that it can pretty darn accurately tell where this device is, okay? So let's just say I lost my iPhone. There it is, the picture of the image. And notice how it's already giving me a map. Look how accurate that is. Actually, it's not. We're on this side of the building, okay? So this is the same type of location tracking that the world is going to, that if you dial 911, the building's burning down, the fire department comes, they can have this type of tracking devices and see, based off of the electronic devices, where humans are to go send a firefighter in and hopefully save somebody's life. It's thanks to location services.
If your phone or your battery's dead, does this work?
Yes, actually it does. And I'll share with you in just a moment. So if the battery is dead, I won't be able to play a sound. So the first thing I'm going to do is like, where is my phone? Okay. I can't find it. I shared something with Donna. It's all the way back here. And it's like, oh, okay. It is charged. It is on. So that's another reason I keep my devices fully charged. So watch what happens. I play a sound. So even though I have it muted, even though it's locked. Is that incredible or what?
That is incredible, yeah.
So it's an invasion of privacy to a degree that they have location data. And I want to share with you, let's see, screen share. So on my phone right now, it could be an iPad, it could be my laptop. Well, maybe this isn't going to share it. It says, find my phone alert. Okay, so I hit OK. I'm not sure. Maybe the screen sharing isn't enabled with Find My Phone. So there was a message on there that tells me somebody activated Find My Phone. I click OK to silence it. But what is really, really cool is when I go to my email address, which is a separate email I have. Here we go. Guess what it's going to tell me? All right, so if somebody's being malicious with me, I'm still receiving an email, second factor of authentication, that's not device specific, to say, a sound was played on your 2019-07 device at 11:29 Pacific Standard Time on the 12th, using Find My app. This just blows my mind that you can do things like this. So, I like that. It's another level of protection. So let me go back to Find My device, okay? I can't hear it. I feel pretty confident somebody stole my phone. So I'm gonna go to the next opportunity, and it's called Lost Mode. Okay, and Lost Mode provides me the ability to give another phone number. So in the case of Vivian, you lost your phone, you played the sound, you don't hear it. You say, you enter Patrick's phone number into Find My Phone. And the next prompt will be, when I click next, it will ask me to enter a message. Contact this phone number. I've lost my phone. I'm willing to give you $30, $25, $20. It's a whole heck of a lot easier to recover that phone than to reset credit cards and everything else. Buy a new phone, get a new phone contract, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so you can write that message in there. And this is a true story. My teenage son, I took both my kids to a fireworks thing in Mooresville, probably 5, 6 years ago. And fireworks are done. We're all scrambling to hurry up and get to the car. My son, he loses his phone. And he was devastated. Girlfriends, best friends, forget mom and dad.
His whole life on that phone.
So he was crushed. So we did this exercise. The battery was dead. Okay. And I typed in the message. I said, I'll pay $25 for the recovery of this phone. I'll take it on my son's allowance. We didn't get any message. My son was crushed. He couldn't sleep that night. So the next morning, the person that found the phone plugged it in and started charging it. And instantly it started connecting to cellular, to Wi-Fi. And they saw that message appear immediately. And they called my phone and said, we have it. Don't worry about the $20, $25. We're just happy your son can get the phone back. And so to answer your question, even though the device might have been dead, and it was true with my son's, when it gets a charge, it starts talking to the cloud, to the Wi-Fi, to the cellular networks. So that's another option. The third option is I just got on the plane, and I'm very, very sure my phone is in California or another country. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to erase that phone. And if I do recover it, I just have to reinstall a whole lot of stuff on there from the cloud. So remotely, I can erase the phone or erase my data to be more secure. It works. It works. So practice this.
That takes it away, and if you never find your phone, then somebody stole it.
But at least you've erased the device remotely. And you can do the same thing with an Android phone. You just have to validate the Find My device is enabled, that you're aware of your Apple ID or the logical key for an Android phone being the email address and password, and you'll be able to recover it. Yes, isn't that crazy? It tells me 6 minutes ago, it geotagged my phone, my device, 7 minutes ago. So this is about 2 years ago, they made this available for most all devices just because theft was rampant. I mean, to walk in New York City, somebody see your phone, they grab it from your hand and take off running. And so if you're aware of this and can quickly, if you know your Apple ID, you know your password, you're quicker to make a recovery. The police department, sadly, are just overwhelmed. And yeah, they're not so much to jump on this. It just depends on, if you tell them that you just got your iPhone 12 and you spent $1,200, that's a lot of money. I think they're going to be more apt to deal with it. But even here in Asheville, when I find a phone, I take it in person to the police department on Pack Square, and they have a room where they lock up all of this type of stuff for somebody to claim it. So there's one more thing I want to share with you is at some point you will want to surrender your device, and your device can be a laptop or iPhone. So in Gearbox settings, and there is a way to completely reset the phone. It's been a while since I've done this. It's likely going to be all the way. It's going to be, let's see here. It's going to be under my Apple ID. There is a way to wipe the phone totally. Here we go. So if I need to remove a credit card, there is a way of resetting the phone. And I would want to do this even before I go to Verizon store, or this phone is worth $100, $200 or whatever. In advance of doing that, I would wipe the phone, is what they call it. Where is the wipe setting? There is the way of preparing your device by erasing it totally, like you just acquired it brand new. Right offhand, I'm struggling to see where it's at. General. It's not, here it is, reset. It's not in such an obvious place because we don't want people accidentally doing this. Any computer device has ability to wipe. In this case, it's reset. So notice how the privacy security is all settings. If I were going to sell this, I would definitely do it. Erase all content and settings, reset network. You know, this is a computer. It has a hard drive. It's remembering all of the things I've done. Before I turn it over to Verizon or sell it, I want to make sure I reset it myself.
What would you do?
I'm sorry?
You would do reset all settings and erase all content?
Yes. Yep. I don't want to go any further because I don't want to spend my weekend recovering my phone. So,
But you were to go ahead and get rid of it. You would do all of that?
no, actually, one of the top two, I think, would likely do all of it. And it'll give you another validation. It will want your Apple ID, because the reality is Apple wants to make it easier that you go get the next version. And with that Apple ID, that's your logical key with the password to get to the iCloud to download everything for your new phone and make the transition as seamless as possible. So, all right, so here's an example. I can already tell right away. Polkton, North Carolina, this is a spam caller. Thank goodness it didn't go off. I have my do not disturb turned on. I can see on the top of my phone right here is do not disturb. So while I'm teaching class, somebody from Polkton called me, sales pitch. I'm going to click on the I. I know nobody in Polkton, 704. I'm not aware of any reason. I am going to block that contact, so hopefully it won't happen again. Okay. All right, good. I get excited about this because it really is amazing what you can do. And those are two important nuggets. So if there's not, let's do the camera real quick. The camera and photos, because your iPhone, your iPad, your MacBook has a web camera, a camera that is absolutely incredible. I say incredible. On the iPhone 7, the front camera is a 12.2 megapixel, which is crazy unbelievable. You know, my previous cameras were never to that high a resolution. The front-facing camera, if I go into the camera here, that front-facing camera is 12.2 megapixels, and Patrick was helping Rose with the pinching to zoom in. I'm actually zooming in. There we go. And I touch on it to focus it. I could just about grab that serial number here. But that zooming isn't an optical zoom, it's a digital zoom. So it loses some of the resolution, but it's still pretty darn impressive. On the phone, there is a reverse. When I reverse the camera, the front facing camera here is like an 8 megapixel of myself. The moral of the story is if you're taking a selfie picture, you don't need as high a quality, a resolution of a lens as you do on the front. So you actually have two cameras on here. The front camera does not have a flash. I'm sorry, the face camera does not have a flash on this model. And I think even the newer ones don't have a flash, but the front facing does. Okay. So down here on the bottom, if I go by default to photograph, this is where most of us will take a picture. There are some buttons on top. The buttons are flash. I have a slash through it, meaning I have told it I don't want a flash. I don't want a flash because even if I turned it on, the lighting from this isn't strong enough for most applications of photography. The camera lens and the software are such good quality, 99% of my photographs, I don't need a flash. And then even if I do, then you get the eye effect and poor lighting and everything. So as a rule of thumb, I do not use flash. And there are some exceptions where I may turn it in or force it. On top, there's a button on my version called HDR, or high definition resolution. And again, this is going to depend on the model that you have. This is an iPhone 7. HDR is literally, it doesn't take one picture, it takes 3 pictures. And with the 3 pictures, high definition resolution, it takes elements of all 3 pictures and cool, but it's taking 3 pictures, it's taking more storage and more system resources. And for the most part, the non-HDR does pretty darn good. Now, the one thing HDR does really, really good with is clouds. So here we are in Asheville, North Carolina. If you're going out and you're taking a picture of some gorgeous clouds, that's where I would recommend turning on HDR, high definition resolution. And it literally does a much better job in capturing the details of the cloud. And Patrick?
No, I got flash, or you saying, how do you turn it flash off?
Okay, so you actually click on the Thunderbolt on mine. Yours might be a little different. And on top, I have auto, on, and off, and the yellow is indicating off.
Okay,
Do you have something like that?
yeah, I kept, it didn't reach my brain when I was pressing it.
It's not so obvious, and it took me a while to realize this myself too. So it's set for off. This next one is something called Live View. And Live View is another optimization. It takes more storage. As a norm, I don't use live on. I have it set for live off. There is a case where I take a family picture and I put the phone on the tripod and I want the use of a timer. The timer can be off. It can be 3 seconds and 10 seconds. So I didn't bring my tripods today, but if I had to set up on the tripod and I said, set it for 3 seconds and I press this, it gives me a countdown. 3, 2, 1, I better be out front, get my picture.
You press it, is that little thing like that?
This, oops. This right here is Live View. I don't use it, so I shut it off just because Live View will take multiple pictures, and multiple pictures can actually be made into a GIF or a small file of a video moving. I don't do it, so I just choose not to use live photo. And then there are filters. Filters are on the bottom. So original, vivid, and your version may be slightly different. So you can customize it if you like filters. As a rule of thumb, I don't use filters just because when I take a picture, like right now, here is the preview of the picture. When I click on the picture, I'm actually going to the Photos app on your phone. And in the Photos app, I have the ability to edit and apply a filter in there. And the filters are down here. So I can go ahead and capture a picture and apply a filter later. So as a result, back on the camera, I don't use filters very often. Do notice that little itty bitty green dot. What is that little itty bitty green dot telling me? That my camera is being used. So about a year ago, 2 years ago, there was a lot of dialogue about software developers could potentially turn on a camera without your knowledge. And as a result, iPhone comes up with this visual indicator to make you aware that there may be an app running, where the photography is being used. And it's, I think, yellow if it's audio. All right.
Being used by someone against your wishes. That you don't know about.
Usually for my case, it's an accident. But I've never seen that really happen where somebody maliciously signed into my account. But again, the key is, Rose, that you know your Apple ID, you know your email address, that your password is secure. It can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's easy to hack. All right, it's got to be a little bit more complex. I've made it harder for me to recover, but it's harder for somebody to maliciously use.
When you say my Apple ID, you're talking about my username, right? That goes, like what my internet address is, and then a password itself. That's what you refer to?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, I'm pausing because this is where people get very confused. Your email is an @charter.
Mhm.
At some point, you should update and change your password on your Charter email.
Okay.
It does not automatically change your Apple ID that uses that Charter email. It's a totally separate function because Charter is owned by Charter Company. Apple is Apple ID. You will have to manually update that ID, and it could be different from your Charter password, and probably should be different just in case you're hacked. And this is where it gets confusing. And
Yeah, it is confusing.
but again, just think of the logical key. On my door at home, I have a door lock, and I put the key in, but I also have a deadbolt lock.
Yeah.
Each one has a unique combination of tumblers for my key. The same concept is true with different companies, maybe Apple, Charter, Microsoft. They'll keep their own unique security combination.
Well, when I was there, when I get into my computer at home on my phone, I have just my ID that I use to get my password, Okay, I only have 2 of those icons I'm assuming there's someplace else.
So I'm guessing your phone is probably an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 5, or it's
No,
maybe a smaller screen. Because of the smaller screen, your can't put all of the apps and buttons and functionality until you upgrade to a bigger phone or a newer phone.
this is brand new.
It is brand new.
It's brand new.
Okay, so likely what's happened is they have put it in a different place.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, this is where I would have to go to the Apple User ID, Apple User Manual. And in the Apple User Manual, let me see if it's here. They don't have it here, so I would go to do a search for Apple space user, they call it user guide. for an iPhone. Apple's got a lot of products, so you have to specify iPhone. And when you go into the user guide, Apple support, I'm gonna go into apps and then photo. Actually, it's camera that you're on, it's not photo. Take photos. And there's a Siri function, turn off flash timer, zoom in and out, take a selfie, adjust low light. I'm looking for where it may, it doesn't specify the difference. Okay, let me take a look at this at a break here in just a few minutes. I'm kind of curious to see what it is. So are you in the camera app, Lillian? So,
Yeah, my camera's on. Either I use the camera.
I'm wondering if you're in the photos and you don't realize it, and that easily happens. Okay, I'll take a look at it in just a moment. All right, so the camera down on the bottom has several options. The photo is where you're going to be most likely to use, photograph. A photograph has what's called an attribute. This is an attribute of like a ratio of 2 inches to 3 inches, I think. If I turn the phone this way, it becomes landscape orientation, okay? And it actually makes more use of the space there. If I wanted to change it to a square photograph, the sides are equal. And this is significant because if you use social media like Instagram likes a square attribute where it doesn't matter if you're in portrait or in landscape mode, a square photograph will show the same results. So there are certain times where a square photograph is helpful. Pano is actually a pretty cool feature. And let's just say I want to take a picture of this whole room, and then I can't get it all into a photograph. So I click on Pano, and Pano, I'm going to go to the very side, or I can click and start on the right side. And I'm going to start here on my left side. I'm going to click and hold, and I'm doing a pano. It's saying slow down, stop, slow down, because there's such low lighting that it wants me to do it a little bit slower. Okay. And look at the cool photograph I have just made. Is that wild or what? So a pano can be starting from the right or the left. You can change it. And here in Western North Carolina, there's some beautiful trees. I'll stand underneath the tree and say, I want to take a picture of this whole tree. So I'll use pano. So I can go this way. So this is my tree, and I take a picture going up like that. Yeah, or I could do it from the top. So right now, I would just click right here, and I could go down. For pano, okay, there is another way you can take a picture, but go ahead and open up and go to pano. So it's thinking you're going to start here and go to the right. And if you turn the camera to landscape orientation, it's thinking you're going to start the picture at the top and you go down. It takes practice.
What button did you take?
The round button on the bottom. Is when you start, and when you finish, you click on again. There is a shortcut, and it depends on the model. On my phone, on my iPhone 7, I can use the volume button as a shutter release mechanism. Okay, if you have the iPod with the microphone, there's a little volume adjustment, that can be used as a shutter release as well. But for you, that button. Mhm. And if you struggle with it, try the volume, and the volume can be used as the shutter release. So we're almost at 3 o'clock. Let's stop for a break. Lillian, I'll take a look at your phone real quick. And just take a stretch break and we'll resume in just a moment. Get this thing on the inside.
There's so much to learn on this, you can't do it all. I'm so glad I don't have that phone. I heard it cost a fortune, so I said, well, I didn't really want it. I'll stick with my number 7.
Okay. All right. So it looks like you have some new features. The newer phone.
I understand about the storage.
Unfortunately,
And
it's-
see, he took his.
I think they've got this button and they said,
I understand why
some
not
functionality you don't need.
because I don't go anything, if I do stop. I'm kind of like that too. Okay, yeah.
The cameras are actually so good that you don't need to worry about a lot of those buttons. But if press, go back to the home. Press and hold on the calendar.
Me
Drag it
too.
off. That will drag it out. There you go.
Not to.
You just remove it from that holder. It's hard.
Okay.
It's hard. I mean, I anticipated you'll almost hold it at the edge. And they sell something called a stylus pen, where the electricity from your finger is being transferred to the point. The point is a whole lot smaller, especially under your screen, that stylus.
Well, I was just trying to set up on one, all the ones that she really uses, and move the other stuff, all the crap that she never uses.
Yep.
And that way,
It's
see,
just really hard to do it. So what's,
It is.
so what you?
So click on that again. So now you only have the one app, and if you want to remove it from the productivity folder, press and hold again, and just drag it off.
side,
You can go up, maybe. Mhm.
go up.
There you go. And you just remove the folder, and it's a standalone, it's shaking, so it's in edit mode, so hit home again on the bottom.
Oh, that's how you do it.
Yep.
Okay, so then I've got other things. Oh, okay.
The customization for your desktop is nice.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep, and to Patrick's point, you want to customize it for your frequently used.
You probably don't use more than 6 or 8, maybe 10 on a good year.
But do notice these little white buttons here. This tells me I'm on the first of 4 of my screens, because I do the same thing Patrick talked about. The apps I don't use that frequently are on my 4th screen. And in fact, I ran out of space, so Starbucks and the clock were put over there. So I'm on the 4th screen right there.
Okay, and then down below where you've got your, you can move those too.
Yes, so I can press and hold.
And move
And-
down somewhere.
Wait till they start giggling.
Yep,
Yeah.
and I can move it off. And now, irregardless if I'm on the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd screen, those 3 are there. I love Google. I use it frequently, so I'm going to press and hold. Press and hold. Oops, I opened it. I'll press and hold.
Obviously, down at the bottom, you have your phone. Yeah,
And music was, just that was put there when I bought it.
well, I would move the music off of there.
Yeah, but that's all.
Hold it down, don't swivel.
Or edit home screen if it won't let you.
Now, down here, since you always have these, okay, you might want.
I noticed that it stiff and then that tail will start getting very stiff. And then we bears out in the front yard, you know?
Yep.
Just, they do what they need to do and then go on. about their day.
This is their property as well around here, I guess. So, I hope you've had a chance to fill out the feedback form. I'm gonna hand this envelope around, slide it face down in there and hand it to the next person. So we'll have that. 38 degrees out there. Oh my gosh.
That's colder than it was this morning.
Yep.
It was about 40.
So photography. Okay, let me finish on photography because we talked about the camera app. And when you take a picture, the picture goes to the Photos app, the Apple Photos. Apple Photos looks very similar to the Google Photos if you download the app. But the Apple Photos is your recents, and then it creates folders. Thank you, Patrick. Creates folders based off of your activity. And again, the privacy and security, your photography is geocached. It has a geographic tag where your pictures were taken.
How do you go into how you create a photo for your, a file for your photos, what I'm trying to say?
Okay, so if I just click on this picture, the pano I just took, and let's see. Okay, so I have to scroll up. When I scroll up on the picture, it says, hey, this picture was taken on the Apple Maps at the Asheville Buncombe Technical Community College, 135, 169 Victoria Road. So again, privacy and security is not so obvious. You would think with a picture, it's a picture, but photography is has a longitude and a latitude, and it becomes Creative Commons, very similar to music files. Photography is owned by the individual. And when you start sharing it or trying to take a picture of a picture and go to Walmart, that's where some flags come up, and Walmart says, we cannot run the risk of a lawsuit. We won't process it because of the tagging that is associated with it.
I didn't know exactly what you meant when I asked you real quick. What does it mean, live photo? What does that mean? When I see it says live?
Okay, great question. So I'm gonna go here to my camera, and in the camera, I'm gonna go to photos. I'm gonna turn on live picture, and let me reverse it. I'll do myself here, okay? I'm anticipating live photo. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, 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 boy. And now when I go into my photos, to my recent, I have taken a burst,
Oh,
and live photos actually takes a picture before or after. It's very similar to HDR,
okay.
and it can be used, let's see,
I've seen that before.
there's slight motion in the photograph. So I think because I burst it, it may have not taken it. So let me just select one picture here. Done. So it's important with the live photo too that if you blink,
Oh,
you can see that. But the live photo is to give you the impression that it's more three-dimensional, like a live photograph.
okay.
That wasn't a real good example of it, but you'll say, what did I do different? And it's because live photos was enabled.
What does the live photo look like? Icon if you click on it? Yeah, where does that show up here?
So it's interesting. It's a little different from Vivian's. Vivian has a newer phone, but in photos, when I'm in the photo option here,
Yeah.
the live
Oh, okay.
is there to turn off and on.
Okay.
And then likewise, if I go into gearbox settings, camera, you can set some controls as well. Camera. So in camera, there are some defaults. is considered high resolution pixels. If you want a smaller file, lower resolution, it would take less space, you can change that. I like the grid because there's some rules of thirds, so I have a grid turned on. If you, I think by default, everybody's scan QR codes are turned on. A QR code provides the ability to quickly go to a web page using a quick response code. And there used to be one here. I don't see it, of a QR code. So your camera can actually read a QR code. In the River Arts districts, I see some QR codes on some of the works. You open up your camera, you hold it to the QR code, and it will go to the website just from looking at that image of the QR code, quick response code.
So you think the grid is a good idea?
For more professional photographers, you learn the use of thirds, the lower third, the top third, the right third, the left third, and not always make it a center focus. And those grid lines help. On the Apple camera, sometimes I want to align my photograph with a telephone pole. On my Google phone, there's actually a gyroscope, and it tells me the degrees of the photograph I'm taking, which just blows my mind. So it used to be you could shut off and on. There's live photo. So preserve settings. There's some switches you can turn on there. I'm gonna shut it off because as a rule of thumb, it takes up more space, and I don't see a lot of benefits on live photos. So I'm gonna turn that off. But that was under gearbox settings, camera. So once you have the picture taken, the picture resides on your phone, and you can have the option, and it's been a while since I've done this. So gearbox settings, and then photos. Photos has some options to allow it to be stored automatically and uploaded to the iCloud. iCloud is the cloud storage for photography. I've recently turned it on because I went ahead and paid 99 cents a month.
That's a good deal.
Well, a good deal, but I take a lot of pictures, but Apple gives you 5 gigs of cloud storage, which isn't much if you're using a lot of photography. So by paying 99 cents, it bumped me up to, I want to say like 50 gigs. So if you don't want to pay for iCloud storage, shut it off. And there's some options there. I'm going to cancel it. I'm not going to do that right now. As a rule of thumb, here I can tell it not to upload to the iCloud on cellular. So Rose, this is another example. If you take pictures of your flowers, going into gearbox settings, photos, cellular data, I have told it don't use my cellular data to upload it to the iCloud, which just means that if you lose your phone and it has an important photograph on it, it's gone. Whereas if you turn it on cellular, you take the picture, it's going to try and upload it to the cloud, but it's going to use cellular data to communicate that. Apple Photos is okay, but I use Google Photos. I've downloaded the apps for Google Photos, and I like Google Photos because it gives me up to 15 gigabytes of free storage. And right now it's synchronizing. It says, hey, Mark, you took some new pictures. It's uploading because I've told it to only upload during Wi-Fi. This is my smartphone I just took the picture with. If I lose it, I lose my phone or can't find it, I can go to a web browser on any computer, sign into my Gmail, and go to photos.google.com and go to my email address of where I was uploading it. Because the cloud and Google Photos was synchronizing it, there's that Pano picture I took. I have made a copy of it from my phone to Google Photos for free because Google gives me 15 gigs of cloud storage, and I actually pay them $10 a month, I think, for unlimited storage right now. So I am geeky. I do. I say out too much, but it's hard for me to do it. Occasionally I get paid, and part of my payment is in Google Photos. I like to take street view photography or a local guide, and I'm so proud of this. I underestimated how many people throughout the whole world look at my photography on Google Maps as a local guide. So last Monday, I took a picture here at class for my social media and my business. It's been viewed 49 times since Monday. All of my photography on Google Maps has been viewed almost a half a billion times. Just meaning that people come up to the mountains, they say, okay, ABTech, I want to see what it's like. I want to see what this Ferguson Allied Health Workforce Development Building looks like. And these are the pictures I have taken. And here's a picture. I was getting a flu shot 2 months ago. It's been viewed 1,317 times. This building is gorgeous. And people throughout the world come up here. They're new, they retire here. They want to get an idea of what the building looks like. This is where my photography comes in. There I am on my last class teaching blogging 101 for beginners. And it's, I do. It's a fun class. It really is. And it's Google ecosystem. These pictures from the top of this building is just unbelievable. So I do take a lot of pictures. I like to archive them. And then from Google Photos, if I choose to go to the search, I'm sorry? It does it automatically. I download the app. I had some initial settings, and when it connects to Wi-Fi, it makes a copy on the cloud for me. And what I like is there's actually a timeline. It's a little crazy, but when I went to Washington, D.C. as a AERP technology, and I want to look at my photography in Washington, D.C., I can see the pictures I took when I went up there. So how would I do that? So I can look at the history. It's part of my history that I hope my kids say, cool, my father did these certain places. And even here in Asheville, down here in this little bobble thing, if I click on this, this is called Street View Photography. And there's a Google Street View car that goes around, but I go around and I take pictures. So like the French Broad dog park. This is Chris Lynch. He took a 360-degree picture. I do this as well. So this provides a different perspective of photography. This is Chris Lynch here, taking a 360 photograph, and you see the Google Street View photography. So these little dots are called Street View Photography. I've taken a fair amount here. So here's my photography, July of 2017. I took a picture of where they're giving COVID shots now. at the Mission Health ABTech Conference Center. Gorgeous building. People want to come in and get an idea of what they can do there. I blurred out the people that were there. And it's through the Street View app that I'm able to do some of these pictures. I'm sorry? A different app, yeah. So, going back to the phone. You can create albums. So, this is Google Photos. Let me go back to Apple Photos. I don't think I have any albums, or it's automatically created an album for favorites. And because my storage is so limited on this phone, I don't leave it, my photographs on here. I put them on the cloud and don't use albums here. But if I go to that on-off switch I just showed to you is how it does it. And very quickly, you'll use your 5 gigs of storage. So let me see here. I close this. Let me go back to the iCloud. So if I lose my iPhone, I can go to any computer, go to the iCloud.com. iCloud.com has some of the productivity that competes against Microsoft. And so I'm using VPN. It thinks something strange is happening. Resend code. It thinks I'm in Atlanta because I'm using VPN. 437-728. So this is second factor authentication. 437-728. And it's not using an authenticator app, but it's a different type of authentication. So when I'm in here, I can go to my iCloud photos. It's the same icon that I saw on my phone. And these are the pictures that are being synchronized from my phone. So here's Apple's iCloud version of what I just took a moment ago. Your iCloud account is automatic based off of your Apple ID. So you don't realize the importance of it. That Apple ID is the logical key to get into your Apple Mail, online contacts, calendar, photos, cloud drive, your notes, reminders, your productivity of the text editor called Pages, Numbers, Keynote, Find Friends, Find My Phone are the apps that are available through iCloud.com. And it's the same Apple ID that you have on your Apple iPhone. Yeah, let me back up here. Oops. When I signed in, it asked for my Apple ID, which is, there is an Apple ID and the Apple ID email. I think that's, so let me see if I can go to iCloud again. And Patrick, this is where you would recover it. Let me go ahead and log out. Sign out. So here's Apple asking me if I trust Google Chrome web browser using my Apple iCloud. You know, here Apple's trying to get me to use Safari and not a Chrome. Is why I'm being kind of questioned. And it drives you crazy. It's just never ending. So this is my Apple ID. And for Patrick or Lillian, that's where I would click on Forgot Apple ID, enter your Apple ID. If you forgot your Apple ID, you can look it up and it takes you through a breadcrumb process But if you get the wrong answers, it'll eventually say, wait a day.
That's right.
You back there again, where did you start from to put the Apple ID in? What was prompting your request for the Apple ID?
Yeah, I was actually going to iCloud.com.
Okay.
I was doing it through a web search. I'm currently signed out, I think, if you remember, yeah. So to access my Apple Cloud material, which is the same as what's on this phone, through a desktop browser, I have to know my iCloud Apple ID and the password. And to recover it, there is a breadcrumb process. I wouldn't do it on your smartphone just because it's so easy to, if you change your password or add a new password, you hit the wrong thing on that tiny keyboard. It's like, oh no, you put yourself in more peril. So, gosh, y'all are great here. Any other questions about camera and the Photos app? We haven't really talked about videos much, but that's very similar. The video I took of me doing the Apple ID on the drink machine is an example. That was done with a video, as actually done on my Google phone, but that's what it created. I absolutely love, my sister's in California, my older sister, my younger sister's in Raleigh, my kids are remote, so video is appropriate for doing a message, you know, and sending them the video. A video creates a very large file, and when you try and text it or email it, Apple has a limitation to how large the file size attachment can be, and it will actually encourage you to use the cloud. You upload the video or a large file to the cloud, and you email a link, not the complete file. And that process makes it easier if the recipient doesn't have good broadband or data. The cloud will optimize it for the exchange. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get back to my little cheat sheet. Here we go. Our Google site. And the Google site that I emailed to everybody. Everybody should have that in their email. That's what we did on Wednesday. And when I started class, we started making a list of some topic questions. We talked about sharing, and I'm going to revisit the sharing again. Most commonly thing I do is share a picture or where are you? And what you want to remember is, okay, so let me stop this, screen share. You're on your iPhone and you have a great picture. Oh, I want to share this to my kids. Your father being absolutely crazy. So there's the picture. The share button is this square with this up arrow. Sometimes the share is, let me see if I can find a different share button. I started noticing share on Google News and other apps looks like, so Biden anxious, I click on ... So here's the share using Google News. It looks similar. That's not a good example. But the share icon, let me go to Safari and see if I can find a different share. Safari has the same share here, but it's when you go into certain sites, the share icon looks a little bit different. But when you click on share, I am now sharing my Google site. I can share it through messages or email or any other app or copy it. So if I like copy it, it's being saved on the temporary memory of the computer, so that when I go to my email, I compose a new email, and down in here, I click and hold, and I say paste. I am pasting the address I just copied by sharing. So sharing is very, very powerful, and can be used many, many different ways. That was an example using the clipboard is the word I'm trying to find. So let's see here, sharing. Bookmarking. Bookmarking is just the ability to use a web browser like you would create a bookmark in a physical book. I'm real fond of this web page. So like a book, I'm going to create a bookmark. Come on. And okay, so what is the default web browser on an Apple phone? Safari, very good. Okay, so when I go into Safari and I want to create a bookmark, so this is the web browser. The web browser right now, get this out of the way. This is the address that I want to bookmark, okay? Cancel. Down here on the bottom in Safari, there are some unique buttons. We talked about the share already. This is the favorites, reading list, and history of Safari. Let's see. So I'm going to click on share. Add a bookmark, iPhone intro. So I'm sorry. To create, those are the bookmarks that were already existing in Safari. What I wanted to do is to share, and I created an add bookmark, and you're right, that icon with a bookmark there. So now when I go back to Safari, oops, I'm sorry, when I go back to Safari on the bottom, and I click here, I added a bookmark to the iPhone class. So when I click on this, there bookmarks. Oh, maybe I didn't finish it. Bookmarks. Oh, I might have put it. Yeah, okay. So I didn't realize that bookmarks can have a folder. So my folder is called Pathwrite, and I didn't realize the bookmark was being added. In the Pathwrite folder, I have two bookmarks. The Training Institute that I do is one of them. The other one is iPhone intro. So bookmark is when I close everything and I use the Apple web browser, Safari, and I say, I wanted to read this later. I created a bookmark. Oh, it still appears. I can go down to the bottom, open up my favorites where I put the bookmark and click on it, and it will open the bookmark I created in Safari. Safari isn't my favorite web browser. I, as you know, love Google, and with Google Chrome, bookmarking, when I look at my bookmarks on my desktop here, see, I have holistic RN patient advocacy. These are folders of bookmarks. I have tons of bookmarks because it helps me stay organized for when I want to quickly go to my desktop computer or my smartphone. So this is Google Chrome web browser, which is more popular than Safari. On my smartphone, when I go to my Chrome web browser here, Okay, here's Chrome, Google Chrome. And in Google Chrome, I can go to ... bookmarks. Oops, get this out of the way, bookmarks. The bookmarks I see here are the exact same ones that I have set up on my desktop. So my bookmark bar, I can see Mark, WTC. This is my organization of all my bookmarks of my favorite websites. It's just a great organizational tool. It's slightly advanced, but a bookmark can be in Safari, it can be in Google Chrome, it can be on Internet Explorer. Very commonly used to create a placeholder.
Well, I think you mentioned Google and Google Chrome. What's the difference between the two?
Yep, great question. So on my phone, notice how Google app is there. Google app is kind of a light duty Google search. Okay, I can do some pretty nice things as far as searching, but the advanced functionality of having search tied to my web browsing in a slightly advanced more function isn't in Google app itself. I have to go to the Google Chrome app. And the Chrome app, I'm actually signing into, let's see if I can share with you. I am signed into a specific Gmail account, and it's tracking. So right up here, this is a email account. My WebTech czar, this is actually Gmail. It's tied to my web browser, and I have advanced functionality in Chrome, including things like bookmarking. Bookmarking cannot be done in the Google app.
Well, at home, whenever I pull up Google on my computer and use it, always, a lot of times you get a pop-up says, do you want to switch or try Google Chrome?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if I'm not using my phone, what is the difference? Or is there?
For most people, people are Googling and using search. They are the same things. It's things like bookmark, reading lists, recent tabs. The Chrome web browser is almost an operating system for Google. So on Wednesday, I had my Chromebook here. My Chromebook computer only works off of the Chrome web browser. So it's Google's advanced web browser, and it's so advanced it actually is becoming an operating system, the Chrome web browser. I teach Chromebook, I teach a lot of Google stuff, so that's why I prefer to use it. Google search, though, on my phone, I actually like this. Google has learned that I like making sense of Buncombe County property tax. It has filtered the articles that I like in here. AT&T scrambles for fiber of a 90-year-old viral Winston-Salem drone. These are things I'll probably read individually because Google has figured out I like these bits and pieces of content. The Chrome app doesn't offer some of that functionality. It's weird. I wish I could easily tell you, but I'm assuming you have a Windows computer at home. So Windows by default is Microsoft. Microsoft's default web browser is Edge or Internet Explorer. And the fact that you're Googling, you can still use the Google search engine and Internet Explorer, but to get 100% of the functionality, you need Chrome and a Gmail address. And that's what it's trying to lead you to. It wants to take you away from the Microsoft and become a full-fledged dependent like me on Google. And it puts that up there. I mean, it's Google's way of competing against Microsoft. Microsoft does the same thing to Google and Apple, and it gets us confused.
So it doesn't matter if you never
Well, you probably don't realize it, but there are little details, you know, of features and benefits for all of that. Okay, so, all right, we did find my phone, silence unknown caller. You go into Gearbox settings, iPhone, and there's a switch in there that if they're not in your contact list, silence it. And you saw what happened with the do not disturb. It's very similar. Patrick asked about notifications on the calendar. Are you good on that?
Yeah, we got on that.
Yeah, we did that, I think, on Wednesday. App Store downloads, we talked a little bit more about today. Leslie, you asked a very generic term, privacy and security, and the context of that just totally depends on if you're in the Apple, Google, and then what app you're using. If it's a third-party app, the permissions you've granted. AARP has a lot of great best practices for privacy and security. Starbucks app, Virginia, you talked about. If I had a little more time, I would sign in. The awesome part about Starbucks is the advance order. I have a loyalty card with them. They give me a free coffee every month or two in non-COVID months. I like it. We talked about the cloud and the Apple ID. The important thing is to remember, Apple, Microsoft, Google, each one of those wants a different key to get into their ecosystem. The key is usually an email address and a unique password. It's when you change that password, things get really tough. Yep. And it happens every time. I shared with you Apple Pay. I like it. It's nice, especially with COVID. The less I touch, the better I feel. A screen app, Get Out Of. Was Donna?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, when I'm just, fooling with it, I'm doing different things and stuff. But sometimes I go to, I'm looking for something, but then when I get there, instead of it giving me a choice, it just puts it all out there on my screen, and then I don't know how to get rid of it unless I push a home button.
Yep, the home button.
Is that what it is? That's where you use the
So
home button?
here it is. I'm on the Starbucks app,
Okay.
and the Starbucks app, I'll get this out of the way. I got it. I'm through with it. I double click the home button on my version of iPhone. Oops, I'm sorry, double click. It takes me to where all of the open apps. So right now I have Safari open, I have Google open, I have Chrome open, I have Starbucks open. To Rose's point, if one of these is using location data, when I leave this building, it's probably using my cellular data. So as a general rule of thumb, I try and swipe up and close all of these. And with that being said, if I totally power down my phone by pressing and holding my power button, it says slide off to power off. This is a computer. And sometimes when it gets a little goofy, the best thing you can do is power it off, and it will wipe all of your open applications closed.
Okay.
And provided you know your lock screen ID and get in. This is a good, healthy thing to do for this computer, like you would a laptop or other computer. Okay, so let's see here. Oops. We talked about payment screen, confidence in issues. That was Virginia and myself. Confidence in issues. What were we talking about? I'm sorry, Virginia, that was yours. That's pretty generic. Confidence in issues. The reason I flagged it again is when your phone gets goofy, it could be because it's running out of storage. Power it down, restart it afresh. It is my best leadership. And that's the takeaway I want you to do in general iPhone issues. We talked about the cloud repeatedly. You have the Apple cloud, you have the Google cloud, there's still the Microsoft cloud, the Amazon cloud, the Facebook cloud. They all want you to live and spend as much time, with your eyes in their cloud. And most of us interact with the cloud through photography and videos. You saw how I use Google Cloud because Google gives me a little bit more storage. Help resources. Again, on the website I gave you, GCF Global is wonderful. The user guide is kind of clunky from Apple, but do use it. Some of these questions that are specific to your model are going to be found in the user guide for the Apple iPhone. Music CDs we kind of touched upon. I wish I had a better answer for you.
It's fine, but I think probably I would consider subscribing to one of them.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned it. Donna, you and I are thinking on the same wavelength, and I say this just because nowadays the cloud music services have gotten so good. My favorite is YouTube Music.
Okay.
And it used to be called just Google Music, I think. So I have downloaded the YouTube Music app. I get it free, ad-free music. And where are we here? Screen sharing, iPhone. Apple Music is very similar. But I live in the Google ecosystem, so I have YouTube Music, and YouTube Music, let's see if it plays. It kind of figures out what I like. Classical music for work, brain power. I'm not sure if it's going to hear this. So that's one thing I failed to talk about is I like to walk, I like to get on the bus, but Bluetooth. How do we do Bluetooth so I can listen to classical music and not have the bus driver go crazy, okay? So on my phone, I have to go to settings, and then the third one down, this is pretty popular, Bluetooth, is currently off or on. And these are all of the Bluetooth devices. So this is a different type of wireless communication. So when I get on the bus, for 16 bucks from Amazon, these things hold a battery charge for 7 to 8 hours. If I lose it, if I step on it, I'm not gonna cry like the Apple earbuds. I put it on and I watch what happens when I press the on button. It says power on. It is connected through Bluetooth, okay? So that means I can use these controls here to adjust volume, to advance, and then more importantly, when I go to my favorite music and play it, I hear it through my Bluetooth, and I can walk, I can listen to my podcasts. There is nothing more relaxing to me than doing this, especially laying down or whatever. I love it. I absolutely love it. So that's Bluetooth. Bluetooth.
Is it free? Is it free? I can pay for
I pay YouTube $10 a month for ad free. So you can listen to free music, but you're going to get advertisements on Spotify or the other music channel, even Apple Music. They may give you a 30 days free trial with less advertisements. But again, podcasts are usually less than average on advertisements. And there's a ton of great content that I can search for, maybe NPR or, when you hear the word podcast, most people will be on the Apple podcast. There's a Google podcast. Google was a little late, but I quit watching news. I get so depressed when I watch the news. I listen to it on a podcast from NPR. They condense it nice and tight. I get 3 minutes of every 2 hours of NPR news, just the headlines, not the flames, the fires, the people screaming, whatever. I love it. The drama, right, that they're trying to hook you for the advertisements. So podcasting, Visa photo to document. Visa photo to document. I think that was the passport Visa.
Yeah, you know, the visa, now, some places go to now, they go to the e-visa, you have a photo, so what download it, it is a photo inside the document,
Mhm.
about information that they ask you.
Mhm. So again, this is a great photo tool. You saw how I opened the photo app, I took a picture of myself, it's saved on the file. I can share it in an email, or I could share it to an application, or if the application that I access, let's just say visa.gov, says click here to upload your photo. I would click on that upload button, go to my photos, find the picture and upload it directly. And Visa is just an example where it needs a current photograph, you know, for the Visa system. We talked about phone spam, email spam, text spam, web browser apps, app removals we talked about, music costs, Apple Pay I gave you a demonstration of, moving apps, closing apps, iPhone contact Safari, app I didn't talk about much. Apple Maps has gotten much better and they're almost as good as Google Maps, but the features are similar to what I showed to you. We talked today about camera, photos, video, and we've talked about Messenger a little bit. So, wow. We have 4 minutes and then the next class, they're gonna come in and scrub for the class at 4:30, so. I'm sorry to have pushed this. Y'all are not nodding off on the desk.
My brain is,
So I have a business card, but I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be handing out business cards. That's totally up to you. If you ever have a question, I'm certainly open. I'll leave my business cards up here. And if you need to wipe them down or whatever. I have 2 phone numbers there and they both work. One is an Apple phone number, one is a Google phone number now, so.
okay, this teacher blogging, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, go ahead. You teach that blogging class that they offer, and what else do you teach through here?
Sometimes I'll teach Google Docs, Sheets, Drive. I'll teach Google YouTube. I'll teach.
Do you do the introduction to computers here or not?
I used to. It's been a while. They have a different set of teachers for that here and at Goodwill that are good. I think I'm too much Google and not enough Microsoft, and that's why they go to the other teachers for Microsoft. So intro to computers is pretty generic. I would just be aware of whatever type of computer you have at home. If it's a Windows 10, that you make sure you sign up for a Windows 10 operating environment. If somebody buys an Apple computer like this, it's totally different. It would be worthless to take an introduction to an Apple if you own a Microsoft computer.
Would it benefit me since you suggested that I get the Chromebook?
Yeah, if you're gonna spend money on a Chromebook, it's low cost. It's great because it doesn't give you all of these options, but Google search is there and the use of email, and that's what a Chromebook is great for.
And I can do the minimal stuff on that. That's probably.
But if you go to Best Buy or something, they'll try and talk you to the $1,000 computer.
Yes.
Patrick, I'll do an elbow shake here and there.
I learned a lot.
Also, I'm grateful you're not saying, where's the firewall? Where's the firewall?
No, we're good.
Mark, did you
We
give
learned
us
quite a
a,
bit, thank you.
All right, fantastic.
did
I'm
you
sorry.
give us a printout or something? Like it shows a spreadsheet of different things?
So I sent you the link to the Google site, and in there it's embedded. So I'll send you another email and it'll just be the spreadsheet. So you have that, because that's pretty helpful. It really is.
Otherwise, I might get confused. Okay, but
Yep.
it was an email. That's why I don't have it in my hand. It was through
Yep.
email. Okay.
Yeah, the printing stuff gets, and I have to constantly update it, so I'll update the notes from today
Oh, yeah.
to make it as helpful as possible, so. But thank you, it was a lot of fun.